relax. You'll laugh when you collapse. We're Animaniacs. Come join the Warner Brothers
and the Warner Sister Dot.
Just for fun, we run around the Warner movie lot. They lock us in the tower whenever we get caught. But we break loose and then the moose, and now you know the plot.
Hello everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're discussing one of the most iconic cartoons one of ours ever produced, besides Looney Tunes, of course.
The
Animaniacs, totally insane Animaniacs. Those are the facts.
Oh, fun, fun, fun. Fun, fun, fun. Every episode, fun, fun, fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And for this one, for people who don't know, this is a cartoon that came on in the 90s, and it was co-created by Steven Spielberg.
Yes.
And it's these three characters.
Steven Spielberg.
Right. And they are the personification of, like, the Warner Brothers logo. It was supposed to be the Warner Brothers and the Warner sister. It was the Yakko, Wakko, and the sister's name was Dot. Mm-hmm. And they live at the Warner studio lot. They live inside the water tower. And what happens is they came to life after they drew them, and they started causing mayhem the minute they were drawn. And it got so bad that they put them in the water tower. And every once in a while they get out and start causing mess, and they know all the celebrities there, and where they film all these big-time movies or cartoons, and they kind of mess with everybody.
Yes, it's so funny that when you think about it, Steven Spielberg produced or directed? Produced it. And you think about the blockbuster movies, and he must have thought about how much fun it would be to be involved in this, and he couldn't turn it down. And it was absolutely hilarious. And again, this is something you wouldn't think Spielberg would be attached to, but thank goodness for the 90s, and thank goodness for him having the attitude of, I just want to have some crazy fun.
Right.
And he did an excellent job making this show a joy and fun to watch for everyone, no matter what age.
Right. Now, there's no plot whatsoever for this show. They just have random skits with different characters. Of course, you got the Animaniacs, and every episode they kind of alternate between other characters. Like, they'll have the Good Feathers, which are these parodies of Goodfellas, but they're pigeons. Right. As they make their way in New York City. They have Rita and Run, which are these stray cat and dog who just travel all over the world looking for a home. We have Buttons and Mindy with the dog constantly chasing the little girl everywhere, trying to keep her safe, and she always gets into trouble. Of course, the iconic Pinky and the Brain, who ended up having their own spin-off series. Mm-hmm. And then you had Slappy Squirrel, her nephew Skippy, and she was sort of the she was like the cartoon master of the show. She knew every trick in the book about animation. It was always, she always compared to what was back then for her, and then for the cartoons, and you don't know comedy. It's always fart jokes with you. And it is hilarious how they have it written.
And she was raising her little nephew.
Yeah. That Slappy. It was so funny. And one of our favorite episodes featuring them was called Bumby's Mom, where Skippy was traumatized by even though if you've seen Bambi, you know about Bambi's mom. She gets killed off, and it's so bad he can't finish saying what happened. So every time he starts to, but Bumby's mom, she's
Bumby's mom, she's Bumby's mom, she's Bumby's mother is
and she kept on telling, it's not real, she's still alive.
I love this show. I remember watching it when it originally aired, and it actually came on Fox, and it was absolutely hilarious. And it came on during the afternoon, so I always look forward to watching it. And there's just so many episodes from this show that I love. I mean, they're just too many to cover in this podcast. Right. But one of my favorites, and I know is your favorites, when they begged and begged to go to this award ceremony, and they promised that they would behave.
Right.
And they actually did exactly what they promised, which they never did. They didn't cause any trouble. They didn't make any wisecracks. They didn't pull any tricks on anyone.
Yeah.
And they did exactly what they're supposed to do. And this guy didn't keep his end of the bargain.
Right. They had a Dr. Scratch and Sniff, and he's almost like the Dave Seville for them because he sort of takes care of the Animaniacs like he's their dad. And they drove him crazy because he was trying to teach them how to be polite. And they were doing all this wacky stuff, and he thought they weren't getting it, and it turned out they actually did. And it was for the head of Warner Brothers, the CEO, and he was voiced by Frank Welker, right? Mm-hmm. And yeah, they behaved. They had them there because every guest was required to be there. Then once they did their job, he made them leave, even though they were polite.
Well, he tried to make
them leave. Yeah, he tried to make them leave, and like we said, but they promised they're not causing any trouble. I don't care, get them out of here. And they were upset, but we behaved. We did exactly what you said, and it's like I was sorry. And then that's when they start causing.
It was on.
Then they start causing chaos again.
So that's one of my favorite episodes. And why don't you tell some of yours?
There's just like so many. There's 99 episodes in one movie. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, never got a theatrical movie, but hey, they got so much into the show. It's like, what did they not make fun of? Mm-hmm. There was this one they had was really creative where they had all the characters switch places, so none of them were in their own little skits. They were all just mix and match. Like Animaniacs has Slappy Squirrel. They had the Pinky and the Brain mixed with Rita and the dog, and then Mindy and Buttons, and the Goodfellas and someone else, and they had the polite hippos, mm-hmm. and the Chicken Boo, who for some reason everyone believes is human until they get rid of the costume, they turn into Rage somehow, and it was really creative how they went about it, and they just had all these different scenarios for everyone switching places.
And I'm so glad you brought up Pinky and the Brain, because this is where they were first introduced as a skit that would come up every episode.
Right.
And they were so well loved, and it was such a popular part of the show that Pinky and the Brain got their own spinoff, mm-hmm. which we will talk about next. But I loved Pinky and the Brain. I loved them. I could not stop imitating them. Everyone going around going, "Point!" And it just acted.
Narf.
Yeah, narf. And just, you couldn't help it. And again, Spielberg did just such a great job in putting all these elements together and just making it entertaining. Mm-hmm. So, can you see the influence that this cartoon has had on so many other shows? I mean, decades later.
Right. And I think so because they were the first ones to just parody all their own works. Because since they live in the same universe where all the movies exist and they weren't just like pretend names. Of course, they didn't have all the celebrities there.
Right.
But some of them did voice themselves, which was a shock.
Right.
But they would have like Whoopi Goldberg and William Shatner, mm-hmm. and even Steven Spielberg himself, but it wasn't Steven Spielberg, but it was funny just having to interact. And they will make fun of all their movies, all the tropes, all the shows, and they made so many firsts in there, and it was started these trends of these shows making fun of their own works, mm-hmm. or just parodying superheroes and stuff. And it started with Animaniacs because they just enjoy making fun of their own stuff. If they know a movie was bad or if there was something weird with it, they will point it out. And there was no hard feelings about it. They just went with it, and they just enjoyed the chaos that the Animaniacs caused with people anywhere, all over the world, either in the studio lot or outside, and no one was safe from them.
Right, definitely. And again, you had the Pinky and the Brain spinoff, and unfortunately had another spinoff with Elmira and Pinky and the Brain, which just never should have happened.
Yeah.
So that was the only bad blot you can say that this show had, was that spinoff.
Right.
But everything other than that, it was just comedic perfection.
Right. And it was even explained within the theme song for Pinky, Elmira, and the Brain. It said that was out of their control. They were forced to do this show, and they just had to make the best of it. But back to Animaniacs, they just had so many great ideas and concepts and creativity behind it. Plus, every once in a while, they'll insert songs.
And they were brilliant. I mean, the lyrics were absolutely brilliant.
Right. And either they would make fun of actual songs like Macarena instead of the Macadamia Nuts.
That's the favorite one.
Right. Or they would do songs, and they were sometimes educational, and they were surprisingly catchy, like one about all the states, all the countries, every planet, all the presidents. They would even do reenactments of events in history, like they had one for the Memoir of Paul Revere, and they actually took it a little seriously. They have this little flame, and he would be there to witness somebody writing something, like they wrote the Constitution or Bill of Rights or something, and then they would recite it, and then all the characters would be there, but there wouldn't be a ton of jokes. It would just be them reenacting. It's like a little bit of a history lesson for the kids, like whatever educational value this show had, they did. And yeah, just it was a really creative show, lots of funny and endearing characters, very just hilarious. It was just a stamp for them.
And the characters themselves, Yakko, Wakko, and Dot, were also very unique in terms of being created as well. They each had their own personalities. You would think they all would have been the same, but no. They each had their little distinct, crazy personalities.
Right.
And Dot, yeah, she was a spoiled girl. She was crazy and spoiled.
And they were voiced by Rob Paulson. Tress McNeil was Dot, and who was Wakko? Unless Rob Paulson did both voices.
I'm not sure.
He probably did both because they sound a little similar, but you could tell there still was a difference between both characters
and then
and the
he
voices.
did double duty during Pinky and the Brain as well.
Right, and they also had a movie like years later, a year or two later after the show went off. They were like one shy away from their 100th episode. And they had one called Wakko's Wish, where it was actually a little different for Animaniacs because they had a little bit of drama in there because they kind of set up this alternate world where instead of in the studio lot for Warner Brothers, they were in this little town with all the characters and that kind of characters you know from the show, and they lived in this kingdom, and it was a shooting star. Wakko was going to make a wish for something he really wanted, and then they had Dot, who was, I guess, the sixth sibling. It was like, it was an odd take, but it may have been good. We haven't seen it yet, and it can be considered like a holiday special because of the type. Oh, really? Okay, because of the type of movie it is. It was a different take. It wasn't just off-the-wall comedy. It was more of a mix of comedy and a little bit of drama, which was never done before.
So that's something that you and I will have to watch and then talk about it as well. So I don't think it's fair that I discuss it and you haven't seen it. But yeah, I saw it. Again, remember it's the 90s.
Right.
So I've seen it.
And also like to announce that they're also doing a reboot of Animaniacs. They're going to bring it back.
And I hope they stick to the same slapstick, brilliant, wisecrack, sarcastic, comedy that they had before. I hope so. I hope they don't try to modernize it. If they modernize
and tone them down or something,
it's totally going to change what the whole concept and idea of the show was originally.
Right.
Which was, and again, it was brilliant.
Right. And I can see why you say that because if we've seen the barrage of reboots we've had, and not counting really great ones like Voltron, DuckTales, My Little Pony.
Right.
Well, it's like with the Teen Titans Go thing where they all got to be strictly comedy. Animaniacs are strictly comedy, but they could dumb down the humor, or it's all about modern technology.
Or being politically correct.
Right.
You can't make fun of this. You can't make fun of that.
And that was always a joke in the show.
You can't do this. You can't say this. And then they, as you said, then they toned down
the comedy.
Trying again to be politically correct.
Right.
So that's the biggest fear.
Or heck, even there's a lot of new material for them to do with directors and the new movies that are out and the trends and Twilight and stuff. There's so much they could tackle and hope they're not being held back because of, like you said, being politically correct.
Now,
just have fun.
Now, if it's on Fox, again, there may be some changes, as you know. Disney purchased majority ownership of Fox.
Yeah.
And already now, a lot of shows are being canceled and they're making so many big changes. So if this is whom is going to air it, then unfortunately we probably have to say there's going to be some big changes on the reboot.
Right. Well, let's just hope despite the changes, it still is a fun show to watch. Even if it is all comedy, which it was anyway, it's still smart about it and not just being mindless humor for this generation.
Right, let's hope so. So, if you haven't watched Animaniacs, which I doubt very seriously most of you watching have not seen it, take a look at it. It is available on Amazon. It was free at one point. I don't think it's free anymore. I think you have to pay for that and Pinky and the Brain.
Right, and it used to be on Netflix, and they took it out like a couple months ago, which is odd because they just added it not too long before that. So,
right. So thanks for listening. Stay tuned for Pinky and the Brain tomorrow.
Yep. And I'm Vasco Entertainments.
And I'm Mama.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
We're Animaniacs. We have pay or play contracts. We're safety to the max. There's baloney in our slacks. We're animating, totally insane. Here's a show's naming. Animaniacs. Those are the facts.
And reporters sitting, flashing lights, trying to walk around, man. Who the hell are you? What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. Met her in my dreams. She was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket. Give it to you later on in the form of a locket.